The last time I ever got high was on a Good Friday. In 2000, I was sitting in the back row of a little small Lutheran church just a couple hours after getting high and was completely overwhelmed by the presence and love of God. Even though I've had this channel for a little bit, I've never really shared my story about how I came to be a follower of Jesus. And so I'm going to take a few moments to do that, especially given that today is Good Friday. Not long before going to that church on Good Friday, I was partying at a friend's house and was sitting at a table with a group of people. And there was a lady there that turned to me and told me that she was a witch and she did not like me. I've never really had someone be so direct, and I've never, as far as I knew up to this point, been around a witch. But I really took that as a sign that God was doing something in my life, because something that you need to know is for about the past 6 months prior to this event, I had been praying and reading my Bible and seeking God and even trying to break a lot of the habits that I had been developing in my life for several years. I was also 18 at the time, getting ready to graduate high school, and was really looking for answers from God if He existed. So when this lady turned to me and said what she said, it really impacted me, but in a positive way, because to me, it was like God was saying, see, there's light and darkness, and why would darkness not like something within you? So I hung out there for a little bit longer and decided to leave. And I had a bag of drugs on me, actually. And when I left, I took the bag of weed, I threw it out the car window, and remembered this little church that I had grown up in and that they always did services on Good Friday. So I drove to the church and they were having a service, and I snuck in, sat in the back row, and heard the story of Jesus' love and the sacrifice of his life, and was completely overwhelmed. That was the last time I got high. It was the last time that I ever felt alone. And it was the last time that I felt hopeless. Jesus' sacrifice for my freedom was overwhelming. I just began to feel consumed by his love and mercy. And something that really gripped my heart as I was driving from that party and after I had thrown that bag of weed out the car, I really had this sense that God spoke to me and said, my power is greater than the hold that that stuff has on your life. And to this day, I believed him. I want to share with you a photo of me from around that time that serves as a reminder to me of God's grace and mercy that I experienced 24 years ago on Good Friday. And if you'll stick with me for just a moment longer, I want to read to you one of my favorite Bible passages that really describes how I felt and what I was experiencing at that time in my life and on that day 24 years ago. It's from Psalms 116, verses 1 through 6. I love God because he listened to me. He listened as I begged for mercy. He listened so intently as I laid out my case before him. Death stared me in the face. Hell was hard on my heels. Up against it, I didn't know which way to turn. Then I called out to God for help. Please, God, I cried out, save my life. God is gracious. It is he who makes things right, our most compassionate God. God takes the side of the helpless. When I was at the end of my rope, he saved me. If you're in a similar situation, I want to encourage you to reach out to God. He sees you, he knows you, and he is an ever-present help in time of need. And if you'd like, I would be honored to lead you in a prayer. Dear God, I acknowledge my great need for you in my life. And I believe that Jesus, your son, came to this earth, lived, died, and rose from the dead for the entire world, but for me too, so that my sins could be forgiven. I want to give my whole life and my heart to you. I want to turn away from evil and follow in your ways forever. Forgive me of my sins and please lead my life. Amen. If you've made this decision or have questions, I want to support you. If you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. But most importantly, when I started this faith journey all these years ago, it started with me opening the Bible, and I would read it, and I would have questions, and I would write down questions, and I would pray, even though I had no idea what I was doing, which we never really do. But I would pray and I would read some more, and then I would ask friends questions that I knew that had faith in God, and God began to shape and mold, lead and guide and direct my life, and there's no way I would ever go back. And I hope the same for you. God bless.